What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I know I sure am, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well, because we are now living in a post-Bad Bunny halftime show world, which just, you guys, it was unbelievable. I am truly like on the edge of my seat, ready to chat about this with you guys, because I have not thought about anything else but this halftime show. Like, it was truly, it was historic before it even started. You know, like there was already so much writing on this, and the political stance of it all, and just like the Bad Bunny of it all, him literally being Bad Bunny and him winning Album of the Year last Sunday, then performing on the biggest stage in the world this Sunday. It's just like, it's been a big year and change for Bad Bunny, but like it's been a big week for Bad Bunny, and like the Lady Gaga of it all, holy fucking shit. Like, I did not see that coming. The Ricky Martin of it all, Alex Earl, Pedro Pascal, Jessica Alba, like everybody in the Casita. It was a night to fucking remember, and I am so excited to dive right into it with you guys in just a little bit. But of course, we do have business as usual, but don't you worry. It will be the very first story that I hop into this week, because I don't think I can wait any longer, and like I just want to like get to it and chat about it. But we do have a show to do, and we like to keep things orderly here at Too Pop to Handle. So before we get into the Bad Bunny of it all, hello! I hope you guys are having a great week. Like I said, I am very excited to tell you guys that I have been chipping away at my endeavors into watching the Oscar-nominated movies, and by that I mean I watched one Oscar-nominated movie over the weekend, and then I watched another movie that I've been meaning to watch for a very long time that had a lot of buzz on the internet. But I watched Begonia over the weekend, which is the movie with Emma Stone that has been nominated in pretty much every award show this year, and it is nominated at the Oscars. You guys, it was incredible. It was so crazy, and like truly, it was a movie that like I got like an hour or so into it, and like I got to this one scene. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, because I think if you haven't seen it yet, you need to watch it. But it got to one scene where like I was like, oh, this has to be close to the end. Like, this is it. Like the plot of the movie is like there's these two guys who they're cousins who kidnap Emma Stone because they think she's an alien, and they're like holding her hostage. And it's this whole thing, whatever. But there's this one scene in the movie where I'm like, oh my God, this must be the end of it. Like something crazy things continued to happen, but like I pressed pause on the movie to see how much longer I had, and I still had 45 minutes left. So clearly that was not the end of the movie, and it just kept you hooked until the very last scene in a way that like it was really impressive. Like I'm not somebody who is good at just like guessing the end of a movie, and I don't try to either. Like, I'm not somebody who goes into a book or a movie and is like, oh my God, I know what's going to happen. I think that's a very impressive skill to have. But like, I do like to go into movies and like have that element of surprise. You know, I like that. I like not knowing what's going to happen. And even if I tried to predict the ending of this movie, I couldn't have done it if I tried. Like, it was so... It truly just took so many right and left turns throughout the movie that I was like, I'm spinning in circles at this point. Like, there is no direction for this movie to end. It was incredible. This movie was truly crazy. And what else was crazy was the acting in this movie. There wasn't a big cast. I want to say there were probably like 4 or 5 characters throughout the entire movie, like main characters. And every single one of them was incredible. The way that they played these parts and brought these characters to life was on a different level of acting. Emma Stone truly is one of the greatest actresses of our time. Like, there's nobody like her. The fact that she came onto the scene as this like quirky kind of girl, you know, she was doing movies like Easy A, The House Bunny, then she goes into like La La Land, she did Crazy Stupid Love, and like all these movies that were they were like lighthearted comedies, you know, but wasn't this like crazy groundbreaking role, but she did them so well because she was so good at just kind of like emulating that type of character. The pivot that she has made over the last few years into these more, I don't want to call them more serious roles, because like her roles were very serious her entire career, but these more like, what's the word I'm looking for? These more like thought-provoking roles, you know, like when you look at Easy A and you look at Begonia and the character that she plays, they are two different people, you know, it's a very different type of acting, and she just kills it every single time. It is so unbelievable the way that she is able to just channel these characters in a way that is on a level that like, she really is channeling that person. Like, she is so good at what she does. I mean, this is not groundbreaking information that Emma Stone is an incredible actress. Like, everybody knows this, but like, it is just, this movie really just reinforced like her talent is on a level that not many people can possess. And it is so incredibly just jaw-dropping to watch. Like, I was in awe of her the entire time. And I also have to give a shout out to Jesse Plemons, who plays like the lead of the two cousins, who is like leading this kind of cult, whatever you want to call it. His acting is not being talked about enough in this movie. He played this crazy character so incredibly well. And like the moments where he had to like play it cool and not seem like he was like had a woman held hostage in his basement, he played it off, he played it cool. And then he would flip out of nowhere and like go back into this like crazy like conspiracy theory kind of cult leader kind of vibe. Like he was incredible. And I feel like Emma Stone is getting so much hype for her role, and like as she should. I don't feel like he's getting enough hype for his role. He did get the SAG award, and I believe he got a Golden Globe nominations at least. He got Golden Globe, SAG. I want to say he got a BAFTA nomination as well, but like I just feel like people aren't talking about how incredible he was in the movie as well. Like he should be getting crazy buzz for this movie, because he was unbelievable. The whole cast was Emma, him, everybody was just next level. And like I said, this movie really keeps you hooked until the very end, which is not an easy thing to do. A lot of people, they might tune out, they might not be so into it halfway through. There is no way that you cannot be tapped into this movie from start to finish, because the twists and turns that it takes, it was incredible. I loved it. I could not recommend it enough. And then the other movie that I watched over the weekend was Twinless, which has been on my list for like, honestly, probably a year at this point. It premiered at Sundance last year. So it premiered over a year ago at this point, and it had like a limited theatrical release. I didn't get to see it in theaters, and now it's on Hulu streaming. So once I saw it was on streaming, I was like, all right, as soon as I get a moment, I'm going to watch this. And I am so glad that I did. It stars Dylan O'Brien, who I've had a crush on since I was like 16 years old. So anytime I see him in a movie, I'm like, all right, let me tap into this and just get a little bit of eye candy. And he is an incredible actor as well. So, it's really it's a win-win. And in this movie, he plays a gay character for a part of the movie. So that was just an extra win, because we get to see him kiss a boy at the beginning of the movie. So like, I will take it. It is a win across the board for me. And then it also stars James Sweeney, who I wasn't familiar with until I saw this movie, but he was so good in this role. He plays basically the plot of the movie is Dylan O'Brien has a twin in the movie who passes away, and he goes to a twin support group for people who have lost their twin, hence Twinless. And he meets this guy, they become friends, and you think it's going to go one way, and it just completely takes a 180 and like follows this crazy, twisted, really fucked up story. Honestly, it was so great. The story was great. It was a very unique story, which I really like. We live in a world right now where a lot of things are retellings or new adaptations or sequels or things like that, which are great, and they do have their place in the world. But getting a movie with a truly unique storyline is I feel like it's far and few these days. And like Begonia, Sinners, Twinless, these are all movies that really felt like a unique story to tell, which is something that a lot of people, I feel like, are looking for these days, which makes sense why they're doing so well. But Twinless was so good. Oh my God. And then like halfway through the movie, I'm watching it, and who pops up on screen other than Scott Hunter himself, Mr. Francois Arnaud. I was like, oh my God, here we are, little hottie playing another gay boy in this movie. We love to see it. It was great. I loved it. Cannot recommend it enough. Twinless was streaming on Hulu, and then Begonia is streaming on Peacock. So if you want to watch them, you can watch them at home. They were both great. I am so glad that I watched them. The only other movie I'm like really dying to watch right now is One Battle After Another that I definitely want to watch before the Oscars, which I think they're the first weekend of March. So I have a few more weeks to watch it. I'll definitely do it. I need to find the time to do it. So I will watch it. I am very excited, and I will report back on that. But those two movies were fantastic. And if you are looking for something to just like throw on and like get, wrapped up in a movie these days, cannot recommend Begonia or Twinless enough. They were fantastic. But with that being said, let's get this show on the road, because I need to talk about Benito. Kicking things off, as we always do, with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week, and our new releases coming up this week. Now, last week we had a release from somebody who I have a very long history with him and his brothers. Nick Jonas released his new album, Sunday Best, and now I actually got to go see him Thursday night at Irving Plaza. He did like a one night only pre-album release thing at Irving Plaza in New York City. He played the whole album for us. However, I do have a bone to pick with him, because he got on that stage and had the audacity to play this album out of order for us for the first time ever, which is psychopathic behavior. Like, if you press play on an album for the first time and do not listen to it straight through the way that the track list is laid out, you are a psychopath, and that is serial killer behavior. And I mean that. And Nick Jonas, you are involved in that conversation now, because you made the set list. Like, you were the one to creative direct this show, and you got on stage playing an album that none of us have heard and decided to press shuffle on the set list. Like, are you okay? Like, what were you thinking? Like, was the show fun? Sure. Yeah, I had a good time. But why would you play the album out of order at an album release show? Doesn't that seem weird? Like, am I the only one who has a problem with that? Maybe it's me and like, maybe I need to look inward on this, but I was just like, what are we doing? Like, why would you play the album out of order? Didn't you make the track list in order for a reason? Shouldn't it be performed in order? At least I understand it like a concert. If you're going to play, if you're going on tour, play it out of order. You're going to mix songs in. He played, 12 tracks on the album. He played all 12 songs from Sunday Best out of order and then played some of his older songs like Levels and Change and things like that. Like, why would you shuffle the album on your own set list the first time you're playing it live? I don't know. It was a weird choice for me. However, the show was a lot of fun. I will say there is an epidemic in New York City where these concert venues are overselling. I saw it at Hilary Duff. I saw it at Nick at Irving Plaza. Like, these concert venues and these artists are prioritizing fitting more people into a room and making a quick buck over an experience and, like a safe environment for people, because the way that these concert venues, I don't know if this is everywhere, but at least in New York City, I've seen it a lot lately. These concert venues are overselling by a decent amount. Like, when I turn around to Hilary Duff, I was like, I've been to a sold out show at Brooklyn Paramount where Hilary was, and like, there were a lot more people at this sold out show than another sold out show that I've been to there. And like, I don't understand how a sold out show for one artist can be sold out and not be packed that way. And then it can be sold out for another artist and be packed to a point where like people are literally packed in like sardines. The math isn't mathing. And the Nick show, like, it was fine, but it was very packed. There were people standing in the hallway. Like, I know people who didn't even get to see the show because they sold so many tickets that they couldn't fit into the main floor of Irving Plaza. It just, they're prioritizing fitting more people into a room to like get a bigger crowd and like sell more tickets. Whatever the reasoning is, it's not worth it. It's a cheap way to make a quick buck and to get more people in the room. It's just, I would rather not. Like, just upgrade the venue or like sell the proper amount of tickets, because it was so packed in that room. But enough bitching hour, because I do have to say, I'm loving this album that Nick put out. I know I just bitched about him playing it out of order, but like, when you do listen to the album in order, it's great. I was not expecting to like it as much as I do. And that's not like a drag. I don't listen to, like, Nick Jonas isn't an artist that I typically am going to listen to on repeat these days. I typically, I like a little more girly pop moment and things like that. But I'm really impressed with this album. It's a really nice, like, mix of all of his sounds that he's done. We did a little bit of gospel, a little Broadway, a little R&B, even like a little of that like administration slowed down kind of vibe. Like, he really mixed all of his solo projects really well into one and created this new album, Sunday Best. I'm really impressed with it. I really am liking it a lot more than I expected. And yeah, I think it's really great. I think if you have ever enjoyed any of Nick's solo music and you haven't listened to this yet, I think you will like it, because it has remnants of everything he's put out before. And there's a little bit of something for everyone. I love The Greatest. I love 911. Aphrodite is great. Seeing Ghosts is great. There's a lot of really good songs on this album, and I'm really liking it. And I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I'll just say it. But you know what? He did what he needed to do on this album. I am very impressed. And then coming up this week, we have one release on our radar, but it is a very big one. It is Hilary Duff's comeback album, Luck or Something. We have been talking about this album for months at this point, and I am so excited to finally have it, for it to come out and just to be able to like really dive into this Hilary Duff comeback era full-fledged. We've gotten singles, we did her mini tour, there's a lot I feel like up her sleeve for the rest of the year, and I'm so excited to just like kick off this era full swing with this album. We will chat all about it next week. I cannot wait. And on the topic of things that I cannot wait for, I need to talk about this halftime performance, you guys, because it was unbelievable. Like, I truly cannot stop thinking about it, and I was already so excited for this show. Like, we all were waiting for this Bad Bunny performance. As soon as they announced it, I knew this was going to be one for the books. He knocked it out of the park. Like, he exceeded every single expectation. And this was, if not the best, one of the best halftime shows we have ever seen. Like, this was on another level. And I've been a huge fan of what Apple Music has done since they took it over. They took over the halftime show like 4 years ago. It was Rihanna, Usher, Kendrick, and now Bad Bunny. I'm pretty sure they've done 4. So what was that? Yeah, 2022 they took it over. And they really have this new approach at a halftime show where they're really leaning into the camera work and the cinematography of the halftime show, which has been like a controversial take. I feel like some people didn't love it for Rihanna. Rihanna and Kendrick, and they were a little like, I don't like the camera work. It didn't feel like the halftime show like that we all know and love, which is the point, and there's a new sponsor and a new team producing it. It's going to look different, because if they were going to keep it the exact same way, they might as well just let Pepsi keep doing it as they did for decades before. So I'm all on for the Apple Music halftime show. And I feel like anybody who wasn't on board with the Apple Music halftime shows are on board now, because how could you not be after that performance? It was unbelievable. I mean, the set, the dancers, the whole little community that he built, and the whole town that he was walking through, the Casita, there were just so many little details about the performance that really took it to the next level. And it really felt like we were watching Bad Bunny walk through the streets of Puerto Rico, the people playing dominoes, the nail tech, all those little businesses that he walked by and highlighted, those are all real small businesses that he chose to highlight in his performance, which you guys know, a Super Bowl commercial, people pay tens of hundreds of $1,000,000 for 15 seconds of a Super Bowl commercial. The fact that these small businesses who realistically wouldn't be able to afford one of these spots during the Super Bowl to promote their business, and let's be real, those are the ones that we really should be uplifting and supporting, especially in times like these, they would never have that opportunity. And the fact that he was bringing all of these small businesses to the biggest stage in the world and gave them even 5 seconds of screen time, it just shows how much he really cares about his community and the people who make his community. I mean, even when he goes and grabs the shot from the woman who was sitting at that little bar, that's Tonita, who's the queen of New York City. She owns, I want to say it's the last Puerto Rican social club in New York City. It's called Caribbean Social Club, or just Tonita's. I went there for the first time a couple months ago with my friend Gretel, who I actually went to Puerto Rico with last year. She had a gallery opening, so we all went and supported her gallery, and it was all Puerto Rican artists. And then right around the corner is Tonita's, and we went there because we wanted to celebrate her, and Bad Bunny goes there all the time. They've done Rolling Stone shoots there. It's a very historic place, and I had no idea what it was. And as soon as I walked in, I was like, this is a special place. I was transported right back to Puerto Rico, where we went last year. And then we get to the back of the bar, and Tonita herself is sitting back there, just enjoying her time, watching everybody have fun. It was just seeing her on screen and seeing all the small businesses and all the people that he highlighted, and the way that he was bringing this culture to life on the field was so incredible, and just made me so proud. And I rewatched it this morning, I think 3 times this morning while I was eating breakfast, and I was getting choked up watching it, because it just felt so celebratory. And Bad Bunny doing the Super Bowl was, in and of itself, was a political statement, because the world it's not being kind to immigrants right now, and Spanish speaking people, whether they're from America or not. People are turning their backs on these people who have truly built our country up from, just made it what it is today. And watching him highlight these people who are getting shunned out of our country, it was so beautiful. And like I said, him doing the halftime show was already a political statement. And he did have his little things that he did. He had Together We Are America on the football, and then the screen said love will always, it said something love will always outshine hate. I forget exactly what he said. So there was little digs here and there that he made about the current state of the country, but nothing about it was aggressive. Nothing about it was, he wasn't trying to he wasn't explicitly going up there and saying fuck Trump or anything like that. Last out, so we got that there, but he wasn't going there. It said the only thing more powerful than hate is love at the Super Bowl on the screen, but he wasn't there explicitly saying fuck the administration and things like that, because him doing the performance alone and giving the biggest stage in the world to a Spanish speaking artist, and it was the first halftime show that was entirely in Spanish, that alone is a political statement. And that's what a revolution is all about, is these peaceful ways to remind our country and the twisted side of the country that isn't supporting these people that it doesn't need to be violent, doesn't need to be evil. We can just exist and remind you that this is who made our country great. You want to make America great? You got it. It was so beautiful to watch. And there's all these narratives online of people who are I don't understand Spanish, so I didn't watch Bad Bunny's halftime show, or I didn't get it because I don't speak Spanish. You don't have to be fluent in Spanish to understand what was happening at Bad Bunny's halftime show. I posted this on TikTok as well, but somebody literally commented and said, I was on a plane and had no headphones, or I watched it on, it was muted or whatever it was, and I still understand what he was doing with this performance. It was not hard to understand. And trust me, I don't know every single word that he was singing on that field, but I know the gist of what his songs are about. The lyrics that he was singing to those songs, do you think Titi Me Pregunto is anything that has to do with what he was doing on that field? No, the lyrics to his songs were not the narrative that he was telling with his halftime show. Like, there was such a different story being told with the dancers and the set and just the sense of community that he brought to that field. I mean, he was just highlighting the fact that, like, there is a world where, like, we can all just exist and, like, there's no class division, you know, like the nail techs and the people selling tamales on the street and the jeweler and the biggest pop star in the world should all exist on the same plane, whether they are Black, Hispanic, white, Asian, whatever it is. Like, we can all exist in a world and not have a class divide and not have a race divide. And, you know, it was very powerful and it was really celebratory and just so incredible to watch. And it was honestly, like, not even in a backwards way, but like it made me like proud to be from this country that I know is built up by so many immigrants and people of all different races and ethnicities and sexual orientations. And that's why America is America. Like, that's what we were founded on. And it made me like proud to be a part of this country, which is not something I have felt in a very long time. Of course, you know, at its root, there's a lot of evil in our country right now. But like watching this performance, it really gave me a moment of like, wow, this is what it's all about. And like, it gave me like this sense of hope. You know, I feel like everyone kind of felt this sliver of hopefulness, which the world is so dark right now. You know, there's so much going on and our administration and the Epstein files and all of that fucking crazy shit is going on. But like, it's things like that that remind us that like there are so many people out there who are like-minded. I said this when Kamala didn't win the election. I was like, though she didn't win, which was definitely rigged, but though she didn't win, there were still so many millions of people who voted for her who are like-minded like all of us. And we're seeing people, luckily, they're changing their minds every day and they regret voting for Trump. And like I was saying, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, like now is not the time to shun the people out who maybe voted for him in the most recent election and now are having a change of heart. Now is the time to like welcome them in and like, you know, be like, hey, you made a mistake. You fucked up. You can't reverse the past. You know, you can't change how they voted or who they voted for, unfortunately, though I wish that we could. But all we can do is like encourage them to be more welcoming and be more loving and be more open-minded and vote in their local elections and vote blue. And just, you know, the little steps like that is what's going to actually change the country. And things like this, watching Bad Bunny at the halftime show, yeah, it was fun and enjoyable. And yeah, I was like 3 tequila sodas deep, drinking, having fun, cheering, screaming. My voice is like still kind of gone from the way that I was screaming during the performance. And like, it was fun. But there was also this like sense of hope and community that came with it that was really, really special. Something else that was oh so special are the insane list of star-studded guests that he had during this performance. Lady fucking Gaga. Now, I had a list of people that I was like, okay, these people will probably come out and perform. I was thinking maybe a Karol G, maybe a Cardi B. You know, I was thinking there were a few people who were like, oh yeah, they'll probably come out and do something with him. Lady Gaga was nowhere near my list. Not even a maybe, not a possibility, nothing at all. And now looking back at it, I'm like, oh, no wonder they were whispering to each other at the Grammys so much. Now people are going back and watching the Grammys. When Trevor Noah mentioned the Super Bowl to Bad Bunny, Michael, Lady Gaga's husband, turned around, or fiance, turns around and is like, smiles at her. It was right there on camera. It was literally on Music's Biggest Night. The amount of time that they were chatting with each other and Michael was linking faces to Gaga and things like that. Like, it was literally right in front of us. And I completely missed it. I did not notice. I don't think anybody did. I think we all just thought they were being supportive. I was saying it last week. It was cute the way Gaga was so excited for this to happen. And I never would have predicted that she would be on stage with Bad Bunny during the halftime show. Like, it was... the scream that I let out, I literally scared the man in front of me. Like, I screamed so loud, so blood curdling, that the man in front of me turned around and looked at me with a look of fear in his eyes that I have never seen in anybody in my life. Like, he probably thought that I was shot or something, the way that I screamed over Lady Gaga showing up on that stage. And I mean, Bad Bunny is such a huge Gaga fan. There's so many photos of him in Gaga merch. He wore the Rain On Me rain boots to a basketball game once. We've seen him in Joanne merch. We've seen him in other Chromatica merch. Like, he is a Gaga stan. So this was such a huge deal for him. This was such a huge deal for me, for everybody. It was incredible. And I need to mention, this is now the second time in a week that we have heard Gaga perform a song from Mayhem completely reimagined. At the Grammys last week, it was Abracadabra with a little more rock inspired. This week at the Super Bowl, it was Die With A Smile with a little Latina flair. You know, Lady Gagita was up there doing her thing. So I definitely think Gaga is ushering us into this second era of mayhem. Do I think we're going to get like this, Latina version of Die With A Smile released? No, but I think she's letting us know that like, hey, there is a second life of this album coming. And with the tour coming up, the second leg and things like that, I think we're going to get a really cool new life breathed into this album that I'm really excited for. And it's just cool to see the way that she's not just like moving on from this album. She's watering these seeds and she's continuing to make the album grow and make it into something new. And I'm still waiting for this Mayhem Requiem Apple Music thing, whatever they did. I need it so bad and I am so excited for it. But until then, I will just keep rewatching her Abracadabra Grammys performance and the Bad Bunny halftime show because like, my God, I still cannot believe that this is like, we saw Lady Gaga last night on the Super Bowl stage again. It was fucking insane. We also got to see Ricky Martin perform, which I was not expecting at all. He is just so hot. Like, I have nothing else to say than like, that man, he is aging like fine wine. I said it during the VMAs and he just gets better with age. He sounds great. He looks great. Might I add, Ricky Martin and Kid Rock are the exact same age and Kid Rock looks like a fucking leather bag and Ricky Martin looks like Ricky Martin. So, when you don't have a heart full of hate, you end up aging a lot better. So we love to see that. It was just such a celebratory night. I'm truly over the moon. The whole casita that he had, if you don't know, during his residency, he also had this little casita that he had in the middle of the stage. And every night he would invite fans, he would invite other artists into it, and they would just stand there and dance with him and like literally like enjoy the show from the stage. So he brought that to the Super Bowl. And the people who were standing in this casita, Pedro Pascal, Young Miko, Cardi B, Alex Earl, Jessica Alba, Karol G, like huge names standing in this casita. And though she isn't by far the biggest name at all on this list, Alex Earl being up there was crazy. And now I think there's a world where Alex Earl is on stage with Bad Bunny regardless. Like Alex Earl, we've got to admit it, she is approaching A-list status. Like she's transcending from influencer into celebrity. And like, she really, Dancing with the Stars, and she's everywhere. She really is passing that threshold from influencer to celebrity. But Dave Grutman was also in the casita, and he is a business owner of a restaurant in Miami with Bad Bunny. And he is also now involved with Alex Earl's new Netflix show, her reality show. So I'm wondering if he had any pull in that. Like if there was any, it's definitely like they're connected in the same world, especially in Miami. Like Alex Earl is always out and about in Miami. So I'm sure she's gone to the restaurant, and I believe it's a club at night as well, which we all know she's a party girl. So I wonder if that's tied into it regardless. Like I said, I think Alex Earl would have been there regardless, but there definitely is that layer to it. And it's, it's cool to kind of see the connections. And I do have to say, I saw a tweet this morning that cracked me up. It said Alex Earl made it to the Super Bowl before her ex-boyfriend did. And I was hysterical at that tweet. Like, I think her and her ex are on fine terms. Braxton, I believe his name is. Like, they're fine. I think there was just like, they grew out of each other, it happens. But the fact that Alex Earl made it to the Super Bowl before her ex-boyfriend did, it does make you think. It makes you laugh. You never know where you're going to go. You never know where you're going to end up. And I love that for her. It was just, Jessica Alba, Pedro Pascal, like this was a crazy list of people in that casita. It was crazy. Also, can we talk about the gays in the truck? The gays in the truck. That was so hot. Like I could not believe, I could believe it because like Bad Bunny is very forward thinking, but like I was not expecting to see two men grinding on each other at the Bad Bunny halftime show, but thank God that we did. It was everything to me. I was very pleased with what I was seeing in that truck, but like, come on now, we love to see it. The whole halftime show was really it was on another level. It was already historic before he stepped on that field. Like we knew it was going to be insane, but like it really was one of the best halftime shows we have ever seen. And I just can't get over it. It was unbelievable. Unreal. I am so happy to be alive at the same time as Bad Bunny. Keeping this party going and moving into some other moments of the week that were just too pop to handle. I kind of just like abruptly started the show and jumped into Bad Bunny, but I could not help myself. Switching gears a little bit. This is such a sad story. I just went from like celebrating Bad Bunny, talking about like getting drunk at a bar last night to now this. this whole Savannah Guthrie situation with her mom has been so heartbreaking to watch. It was unfolding last week while I was recording, and I didn't want to get on here and be like, oh my God, did you see what happened? And then like have nothing to follow up with it. And now there has been so many things that have come out since last week. And like this whole story is just insane. I'll give you like the TLDR. Basically, last Sunday, the February 1st, her mom was abducted from her home at like 2 a.m. Somebody disconnected their Ring camera and she was abducted and is now missing. And there's been like ransom notes sent to them throughout the week to like the FBI and the police asking for money. And you know, they're sending all these like crazy messages to them. They're asking for this amount of money and that amount of money. And Savannah and her family are now getting on Instagram and being like, please, like, what do we need to do? Just let us know that she is alive. Let us know what to do. One of the deadlines is literally today. I'm recording this on Monday, a day early, because I'm filming something very exciting tomorrow night, which I'll tell you guys about in a week or so, I believe. But that's besides the point. So as of Monday, today is one of the deadlines. There were 2 different deadlines with 2 different dollar amounts, I'm pretty sure is what was going on. And one of them was today. So I'm like, what is going on? Savannah posted a video just a couple hours ago, like 4 p.m. Eastern, and was saying like, we need communication. We need, like, tell us what to do, please. Like, we just want our mom back. And like, there's this one side of me that has this sliver of hope that like Nancy is okay, her mom, that she is fine. And like, not that they're keeping her safe and not that she's fine, but like that she's alive and like she hasn't been killed. But then there's this other part of me that is like, they're very explicitly saying like she is on very strict medication that like she can't go 24 hours without. And like, to our knowledge, the medication was left at the house. I don't know, no one knows if anything was taken, like any pills or things like that. Like that information, to my knowledge, was not disclosed. But like, it's just fucking crazy. And I'm like, we are over a week from when she went missing and was abducted from her home. Do we think she's still alive? And like, I don't even say that in the sense of just like making a joke at all. Like, this is a very serious, scary thing going on. Also just like so random. Like, why Savannah Guthrie? Like, why a Today Show host? Like, it's not like not that she's not like an A-list important person, but like, it's not somebody that you would typically think, no, this sounds so crazy. Like, not somebody you would think to go after, but like, it's not somebody that you would target. You would think to target, which like opens the idea and the conversation that like, is this an inside job? Is this somebody who knows the Guthrie family and is like getting revenge or plotting something against them? Regardless of what is happening, this is all so heartbreaking. And like, watching this story unfold, them finding blood on her porch and like it being hers, clearly indicating that like she is hurt in some sense. Like, why else would she be bleeding on the porch if they didn't hurt her when they abducted her? The FBI put out a $50,000 prize or reward if anybody could give any information. Like, they are truly pulling out all the stops for this investigation, and just like, it almost feels like they're getting nowhere with it. And it is so heartbreaking to watch. And like, every day I just wake up and I'm like, anything new? Like, anything happened? Did they get any tips or anything like that? And it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think she's still alive? And like, do you think that like they're going to be able to pay them off and get her back? I want to know what is their motive with this? Is it just money? Is there like an ulterior motive where they're like, they have a vendetta against the Guthrie family, which like, I don't know what you would have against the Guthries. Like I said, yes, it isn't, she's a Today Show anchor and things like that, but like, it's not somebody that you would typically think would be targeted. And like, this story is just, it's so heartbreaking. And like, every day I read more about it and I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, they are begging, Savannah and her siblings, they are begging for their mom back and just like a glimmer of hope that she is alive and there is something that they can do to get her back. And like, nothing. It is just so, it truly breaks my heart. And then I'm like watching Begonia over the weekend where they abduct Emma Stone. And I'm like, this is a little too on the nose of what is going on in the real world right now. Like, it was freaking me out. I'm not going to lie. It's so crazy and so heartbreaking. And like, I send my love to everyone involved. Like, it's awful. It's really awful. And like, I don't know what the outcome is, like, I don't know where this ends up. And like, it's one of those things that like you watch in a movie, like you watch on a TV show, in a movie, and like, you're like, things like this don't happen, everyone's fine. And then it happens and you're like, holy fuck, like you you never know who is watching you. And like, was this person had to have like known her home and like know how to get in and know where her bedroom, like, you know, he wasn't just, or she, they, whoever it is, they weren't just like targeting a random person. This is very clearly an attack on her specifically and not just like trying to abduct a random person. They know that there's money involved. They know that like this is a, you know, not just like a typical middle class family. I also assume that her neighborhood isn't just like a regular neighborhood, you know? It's just all so insane. And like, I just can't believe we're like watching this horror story truly unfold like in front of our eyes every single day. It's wild and it just breaks my heart. Moving on to the next moment of the week that was just too pop to handle. Meryl Streep is confirmed to play Joni Mitchell in an upcoming biopic based on the singer's life. The headline for me here is just Meryl Streep being in another movie because there is never enough Meryl Streep. I mean, she really is. She's the greatest to ever do it. Like, it's Meryl fucking Streep. And more importantly, and more exciting for me at least, the fact that like, I'm assuming we'll get to hear Meryl sing in this movie, which she just has such a beautiful voice. I mean, think Mamma Mia, Death Becomes Her. Even she sang in Only Murders in the Building. What was that, like 2 seasons ago? Like, Meryl Streep is the best of the best. You don't get better than Meryl Streep. And like, just the idea of her singing in a movie, assuming she's going to sing, I can't imagine like they're not going to have Meryl. There's a reason Meryl Streep is playing Joni Mitchell. And it's because Meryl Streep is Meryl Streep. So just excited to like have another Meryl movie with music under our belts because we love to see it. What's also very exciting about this is that Cameron Crowe will be directing the movie, who also directed Almost Famous, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So in very good hands in the directing and the casting roles. It's also rumored that Anya Taylor-Joy will be playing a younger Joni Mitchell, so Meryl Streep will be playing her obviously in her older age. And then the rumors are that Anya Taylor-Joy will be playing her in a younger part of the movie. So that's not confirmed yet, but it is very heavily rumored. So that I'm not going to confirm, but we know Meryl is in, we know Cameron Crowe is in. It's based on 4 years of close collaboration between Cameron and Joni. It's set to film later this year, and right now they're aiming for a 2028 release. Now, Joni Mitchell isn't an artist that I listen to. I couldn't name a single song, and maybe that's a flaw of mine. I don't really care. She's not an artist that I listen to. I understand her impact. I understand that she is so beloved. And Jacqueline and Megan, if you guys are listening to this, I apologize if I'm offending you. I know she is your girl, and I respect that oh so much. However, not my cup of tea, and that is fine. I don't know much about Joni Mitchell, but what I do know is that there was a big controversy with her back in the 70s where she liked to do blackface and portray this like alter ego of a black man and say she was like a black jazz singer. And it was the 70s. It was a different time. Does not make it okay. It does not excuse the behavior, and I am not making an excuse for it. But I'm very curious how they're going to approach this in the movie and if they're going to approach it at all, because to my knowledge, and there's not much knowledge of Joni Mitchell, so again, if I'm misspeaking, I apologize, but like, I think she kind of just like rolls this off her back and is like, it was, you know, I did it in the 70s, it was this, that, whatever. Like, I don't think she actually like has faced it head on, and like, she was at the Grammys last week. She's still very much in the spotlight. I feel like the last few years, she's kind of had this like resurgence and like has been back in the mainstream with newer stuff. I know she's a lot with Brandi Carlile, I'm pretty sure. Again, the Meryl of it all is what I'm excited for here. But just with any Joni Mitchell knowledge that I have, I'm curious how they're going to approach that part of her life, or if they're going to like Michael Jackson biopic it and like skip that part of it. We talked about the Michael documentary, or the Michael biopic, where they're skipping a lot of years because of legal reasons. Joni Mitchell doesn't have any legal reasons why she can't talk about her blackface era. You know, I think it was only a couple years, but couple years too many, you know, the minute you put that on your face, it's a minute too long. So I'm curious how and if they're going to address all of that and like what that looks like in the movie. Cause I cannot imagine them putting Anya Taylor-Joy or Meryl Streep or any actress in blackface on screen. So I'm curious how they lay that down and if they just like nix it from the movie, because to my knowledge, she also released an album where she is playing this character on the cover of the album. I remember reading that when I saw this all come out a few years ago. So I'm curious how they approach that and like what that looks like. We're also just like in an era right now where we're getting a lot of biopics. We have the Beatles coming out, all those 4 movies coming out where they're doing like 1 movie per Beatle all in the same universe. Michael Jackson comes out this year. We also have John M. Chu, who's directing the Britney Spears biopic based on her book Piece of Me. And then we have Julia Garner playing Madonna in her biopic that they're working on right now. So like we're getting ushered into this new era of biopics in the next year to 2 years, I feel like. So I'm really curious to see like how they kind of get like soaked up by the culture. You know, it's like we get biopics here and there, but it's not like a regular thing that we get often, especially not names like this. I mean, Michael Jackson, the Beatles, Britney Spears, Madonna, like these are huge names. Like these are the names that like our generation wants to see biopics of. So I'm curious to see like who else jumps on this trend and like if it becomes kind of like a new era of movie releases where we're seeing a lot more biopics versus, you know, new stories coming out. If we're kind of ushering out of like original stories and adaptations and into a biopic era of movies, which I don't think it'll ever like completely take over, but it is interesting that we're getting so many in the next couple of years. So we will have to wait and see. But until then, I'll be waiting for Meryl Streep to sing anything on any screen. So I'm curious to see like how this kind of shifts movies over the next few years, because with such an influx of biopics with such big names, I'm curious if they do well, if we're going to see these directors or other directors kind of hop on the bandwagon and want to, you know, get a slice of the cake and, you know, do other biopics for other people and kind of turn into this new wave of movies for the next like 5 or so years. But we will have to wait and see. Moving on to the next moment of the week that was just too pop to handle. The Winter Olympics are happening right now, and shocker to nobody, I am no sporty spice. I do enjoy watching the Olympics, but I'm not watching them nonstop. I'll watch them if they're on at work right now, and like I stop and watch for a little bit, but like I'm not tapped in. You know, it's just not my circus, not my monkeys. However, Mariah Carey did perform at the opening ceremony, which is something that I am very tapped into. She performed a medley of Volare and her ballad Nothing Is Impossible from her most recent album. And there's a lot of conversations online, as there always is. First thing I'm going to say, she looks fabulous. She looked gorgeous on that stage. The makeup, the hair, the dress. Her dress was fabulous. She truly looked like a Barbie doll up on that stage. She looked incredible. And now, there's a lot of conversations online for the last couple of years about Mariah Carey and her live vocals. And, you know, there are some times where they're good. There's some times where they're great. And there's some times where they're not. And that's just kind of the nature of, you know, as you grow and your vocal cords change, you know, you can't be belting out these whistle tones the way that maybe you once were. And that is fine. I've seen Mariah live a handful of times now. I saw her at Global Citizens Fest, where she did the infamous, you don't want to hear me talk about 9/11. I've been to multiple of her Christmas shows. It's one of my traditions that my boyfriend and I do. I was in the building when she did her Vanguard performance for the VMAs. Like, I've heard Mariah Carey sing. I was there when she was rehearsing. So like, I'm no stranger to Mariah Carey and a microphone. And I think people are being a little harsh on her performance. Was it the best she's ever sounded? No. Was it the worst she'd ever sounded? No. I have heard Mariah Carey in person sound worse than she did at the Olympics. I did not think it was that bad. We also have to consider, like, it's Mariah Carey. We know that she can sing. You know, Mariah Carey doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. She's Mariah fucking Carey. And I feel like every time she gets on a stage to do like a live televised performance, people always are like up in arms and have so much to say. And I go on my soapboxes all the time about how like everyone on Stan Twitter are so toxic and the internet so this and that. But like every time Mariah Carey does anything, I just feel like she gets the shitty end of the stick because she doesn't sound like she once did. But like, most people don't. Like, most people don't still sound the way that they did when they, you know, in the 90s, 30 something years ago. And that's okay. I don't get why there's this like, always this conversation online regarding Mariah when she gets on stage, even when she performed at the VMAs. Like, people were like, she's so stiff. She's walking around. She looks like she's in pain. Leave her alone. Like, Mariah Carey has never really been a choreography girl. Like, she is very much, she stands on stage, she belts out her notes, she does her thing, she looks gorgeous, she gets a touch up on stage, she moves on. She's not up there doing choreography. That's not what she does. She never has, never will. I don't get why people expect so much from her in that aspect. And like, I just, when you have 19 number one singles, the most of any solo artist ever, I just don't think anybody else can say shit about a live performance this far into her career. Like, whether it's great, whether it's not, she's Mariah fucking Carey. And I mean, at the end of the day, Mariah Carey has the most number one singles of any solo artist in history. So like, she has nothing to prove. Mariah Carey can go on that stage and do whatever the fuck she wants. And she's still Mariah Carey. Like, I don't get why there's always this conversation online every few months when Mariah does anything. It's like, let her do her thing. She has Mariah Carey. She has nothing to prove to any of us because she's done her work. She's belted her notes out. She's written the number one hits. She's Mariah fucking Carey. Let go and just let her do what she wants. And moving on, speaking of charts, moving on to our final moment of the week that we're just too pop to handle. Taylor Swift has released the music video for Opalite, and it featured her entire Graham Norton crew. Cillian Murphy, Lewis Capaldi, Jodie Turner-Smith, Graham Norton, and everybody else who's on the couch with her is featured in the movie. I did a whole reaction video to the music video, which is on our YouTube channel right now if you want to go watch it. I loved the video. I thought it was so much fun. In the reaction video, I also say this, so I am repeating myself, but whatever. There's something really admirable about the way that Taylor Swift loves The Life of a Showgirl. And now you guys know, The Life of a Showgirl is not my favorite Taylor Swift album by all means, not even in my top 5, and that is fine. The way that Taylor Swift loves this album is so admirable. I don't know. I love the way that she loves this album. And like, I think she even knows that like, this is not her best album by all means. It's not her best writing, not her best production, but it has this spirit to it and like this passion behind it that like, she doesn't care if everybody else doesn't like it. She loves it so much. And something about that buys it points for me. Now, I'm not putting it on. I'm not listening to it often, just being real. But like, there is something to say, there is something admirable about the way that she really does have this like maternal instinct with this album. And with the Fate of Ophelia music video, that is one of my favorite videos she has ever done. Like, I'll give her that. The songs that are good on this album are fucking great. And that Fate of Ophelia music video was unbelievable. One of the best she has ever put out. Definitely her best lead single in years. But it was written and directed by Taylor, as is the Opalite music video. So I was already very excited for this music video because knowing that Taylor wrote and directed the music video, and then knowing that she had just had so much fun and creative juices flowing with this album, I was so excited for this. And then with the whole Graham Norton crew and everything, I was so excited for this music video to come out. It was just, it was written in the stars for me to like it. And I love Opalite. Opalite is one of the songs on the album that I really do like and think it is fun. It's what I wanted from the album. So very excited for the music video, but that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is the way that she released this music video. So if you did not see, she chose to release this music video on Apple Music and Spotify first for the first 48 hours because as of December, Billboard is now prioritizing subscription-based streams over ad-based streams. So what that means is in Billboard's ranking, they have, different weights. So an album sale versus a digital album, like a physical album versus a digital album, they have different weight. A stream on Spotify and Apple Music has more weight than a stream on YouTube. And, there's different things that kind of play into these different rankings of an album charting on Billboard. And as much as I hate to admit it, Taylor Swift loves the charts. She loves to be number one. She loves to break records. She wants to go down in history as this like record-breaking pop star, which she already will be, but she's not stopping anytime soon. Like she wants to outdo herself every single time, and she's been doing it, so why not keep trying? And you guys know how I feel about like a cheap shot at charting, cheap ways to like get yourself on the charts, releasing a digital single, releasing another version of an album with one extra song on it digitally. There's so many remixes and this and that. I fucking hate them. I think they are the tackiest way to get your song to chart. I truly think if like you can't get your song to chart with the original version, one remix is fine. But, especially Taylor, she likes to do a lot of remixes. And like, sure, you can say she's creative and she wants to, let other artists touch the song and remix it and do their thing. No, she's doing it because she wants to extend her number one record. And that is just a pill that I've learned to swallow. It annoys me. I think it's tacky. I think it's a cheap shot at getting a chart. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess. However, what I will say is, I don't think her releasing this music video on Apple Music and Spotify is a cheap shot at becoming, on the chart. I think this was a very smart tactic. And I think it's something that we're going to start seeing a lot of other artists doing. And, like I said, I have my opinions on tactics of how to like extend, excuse me, your stay on the Billboard chart. And, I don't love when an artist is obsessed with charts, but the fact of the matter is Taylor Swift it is fine. It is what it is. I've gotten over that hill. I think this is a very smart way to go about it because we are already paying for these subscriptions, like we're already paying for Apple Music and Spotify. So if it's the difference between watching a music video on YouTube versus a subscription that we're already paying for, I don't see the big deal. Like people were going online and doing think pieces about Taylor releasing this video on streaming only and she's so chart obsessed, which like at the end of the day, it is her job to make her music chart and for her music to be successful and for her music to do well. Now, she does have a special touch where her fans will stream her music until the cows come home and like her music will do well. She could release it on fucking LimeWire and it would somehow still become the top selling single of all time. Like the Swifties are nuts and they're going to make her chart regardless. But I don't think her releasing it on Apple Music and Spotify exclusively for especially because it was only for 48 hours and then it was on YouTube. It was just to usher in those first 48 hours of clicks. And if it was the difference between opening a YouTube app and a Spotify or Apple Music app, I don't think it was that big of a deal. And the way people are reacting to it is so stupid to me. Like this doesn't warrant a response. This is a smart business move because at the end of the day, her music is her business. This is her job. Like this is the same thing as us like trying to get a promotion or finding a new way to do our jobs and things like that. Like it's just because it's Taylor Swift and it's the charts and it's this whole conversation around her. If you think back, even it had, what was it, like 2013? Like she wasn't, maybe later than that, she wasn't on streaming services until like 2015, 2016 because she didn't like the way that artists were not paid fairly for their music being on streaming because it was that era of us like ushering into streaming versus buying things on like iTunes and going to Apple Music instead. Like her music was not available on iTunes or on Apple Music for a very long time. And then she released that whole letter to Apple Music and they did the campaign with her. It became a much bigger thing. And she did open up these conversations for artists to kind of vouch for themselves in terms of like their streams counting towards more charts and getting paid more per stream because they were kind of getting the shitty end of the stick. But a lot of artists don't have the power or the voice that Taylor Swift does to make a statement like that. Similar to with her buying her masters back. It's opened up so many conversations for other artists to like speak up for themselves and vouch for themselves and not be afraid of their record labels or not be afraid to ask to own their masters. Or like we see Megan Thee Stallion with her own record label and she owns her entire masters. It has kind of ushered in this new era of the music industry. And there's no denying that Taylor has had one of the biggest impacts on the music industry of any artist. I would say the only other artist, and I always say this, I hate to compare the two, but I'm not comparing them in a negative way. It's because the two of them are geniuses with their businesses. But to Beyonce, think about when Beyonce dropped Self-Titled. It completely shifted the way people released music. It went from Tuesdays to Fridays. Think about when Beyonce dropped Lemonade. You could only listen to Lemonade on Tidal for the first 3 days, I want to say. It premiered on HBO, the documentary, or the visual album premiered on HBO, and then it was available only on Tidal. And that was a tactic to get people to sign up for Tidal. It was a business move. It's Jay-Z's streaming service. These are all business tactics that people, for some reason, they twist it into this evil manipulation thing, and things like this where you're just trying to get an exclusive, give the exclusive to a certain streaming service or, whatever it is. That to me doesn't seem as tacky as the multiple, EPs that you release with one song on it. Taylor loves to do that, or the multiple Elvira's version for fucking, what was it, Cardigan or whatever it was. She was going a little crazy with some of these versions for a while and these different digital variants and a signed digital variant. It gets a little crazy the way that some of these artists do it. And I know Billboard is working on different ways to fully change that because it does kind of get out of hand. But a tactic like this, I don't mind. I don't think there's anything wrong with what Taylor Swift did. And considering the way that Billboard is changing their weight, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of artists following in Taylor's footsteps in doing this. And it just kind of takes Taylor to be the voice of reason as to why she did it. And this is one thing where I don't agree with people who are bashing her for it, because I'm like, this was smart. This was a good business decision. And like I said, it was just the difference of opening a YouTube app versus an Apple Music or Spotify app, which we're already a part of. We're already on there. We're already paying for it. So like, what is the big deal? I don't know. I thought it was smart. And I was very excited about this. You guys know how much I love just like the conversations around the way that Billboard changes their weights and the way the music industry shifts and stuff like this. When I saw this, I was like, oh, bitch, this is exactly the shit that I love. And that wraps up all of our pop culture moments of the week. There were just two pop to handle, but you guys know we are not done just yet because we still have our TV recap, and it is another day in the workroom, and we are picking up where we left off from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18 with part 2 of the Rated Queen talent show. So last week you saw the first group of queens go, and this week we're wrapping it up with the second group. This week we got to see a lot more time in the workroom with the queens, because last episode we got to see them kind of like picking their teams and picking, all of that. This time we saw them do a lot more chatting in the workroom, and it was refreshing to like watch them all kind of just like converse back and forth for the whole episode and not have to do a mini challenge, or we didn't really see anybody like rehearsing their talent show or things like that. We also got Michelle Visage coming into the workroom, which I feel like she doesn't really do anymore. She used to do it a lot more on the earlier seasons, and seeing her in the workroom with the queens and just like forming these relationships, it was nice. It felt very nostalgic, just like the way that she was forming these relationships with this new era of queens. I feel like it was kind of like, she doesn't do it so much. I feel like after COVID, they kind of stopped going into the workroom as much. And it was nice. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was crazy the way she literally like pointed out Kenya and was like, yeah, you guys need to know your words. I'm looking at you, Kenya. That was crazy. But also it was like foreshadowing for the rest of the episode, because what the fuck was that? But we'll get to that in just a moment. I also just need to reiterate, I don't get how these girls remember their alliance math. Like the way that they were like, I told Athena I was going to vote for her, and then I told Mia, and then I told Juicy, and then I told Sierra, and then I told Vita. Like, they have these alliances. They're doing PEMDAS on this show to figure out who is in their alliance, and they just fucking crazy. Like, the way that these girls are forming these alliances, I understand that, like, it's part of the show and it's part of the tactics, but, like, if I was on RuPaul's Drag Race and I had to do Rated Queen and I was doing it based on an alliance, I would get into that Rated Queen room and I would forget every bitch who I told I was going to rank first. Like, it would all one year and out the other. Like, there's so much. You got to prepare your talent show. You got to make a runway look. You got to go lip sync if you're in the bottom or even in the top this week. Like, there is no world where I would be able to remember my alliances. And it is so impressive that these girls can remember who they told what to and how they're able to rank them in their head, because like, that's literal PEMDAS. Like, they are doing Algebra 2 in the workroom to give a girl a better point on this Rated Queen system. It's crazy. But we get to the runway, and this week's, what is it called? Why can't I think of what they call it? This week's runway look is Shake, Shake, Shake. Wow, that took me way too long to get to. So Shake, Shake, Shake is the name of the game. Starting it off, we have Mikey Meeks. I loved this. Very club kid, very fun, very unique. All the zip ties and the way that they moved. This was a very unique approach at this week's runway, and I loved it. I thought that this was really, really fun. Really great week for Mikey, but not if you look at the rankings, but we'll get there in a minute. Next up, we had Athena Dion. I like this. It was a little like Judy Jetson, it had that like futuristic kind of vibe, but then had like the Greek eyes, which of course, if you didn't know, Athena Dion is Greek, but she does remind us every 5 minutes. So, just another reminder that she is Greek. It's giving like Angie K, she loved that she is Greek. And I love that for them, be proud of where you are, be proud of your heritage. But like, if you needed a reminder, Athena will give it to you every 5 minutes that she is in fact Greek. But I like this a lot. I thought it was a really good week for Athena. Next up, we had Kenya. This was fun. Nothing crazy. The butterflies were fun. I thought the little nod to Asia O'Hara that she said, she was like, Asia O'Hara, eat your heart out. Thought that was very funny. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was fun. I did like this a lot. Next up, we had Jane Don't. I loved this runway. This was incredible. I love the way that it moved. I love the hat. I love the color of it. This was great. Jane Don't is she's one to watch this season, and this was a great runway for her. Next up, we had Discord. Discord has been letting me down the last few weeks. I've got to say it. There was so much going on this outfit. It wasn't the worst outfit I've ever seen, but by all means, it wasn't the best, nor was it just like a good outfit. It was just like, I didn't really know what I was looking at. I thought like it was pretty in the sense of like the dangly like rhinestones on it and like There were elements of it that I liked, but as a whole, I was like, what are we looking at? There was a lot going on. I don't know. Next up, we had Mia Starr. Doing black on black anything is really hard to do. And this is exactly what I mean when I say that. You couldn't really see the details and like what was going on in this dress. It wasn't for me. I don't know. I didn't love this runway on Mia. It just wasn't for me. Next up, we had Darlene. This was for me. I loved this runway. It was incredible. Very club kid, very out of the box. You know, not a lot of queens can pull this look off, and she looked incredible. I thought the colors shouldn't make sense, but they did. Like, it was so fun. It was so good. I loved the way she painted her face. I loved the red hair. I loved everything about this look. This was a great week for Darlene, especially after last week when I did not love her runway that much. This made up for it. I loved this look. Next up on the runway, we had Vita. I like this a lot. It was really well done. Vita, she's so good at drag, and she knows how to construct a garment. She knows like what works for her body. I like the shoulder pieces. I like the wig. This was a good week for Vita. I really liked this. And then we had my favorite of the week and my favorite of the season, Nene Coco. This was unreal. It was perfect in every sense of the word. The colors were so bright and vibrant. The way that it moved, it was so unique, and just like, this was a standout week for Nene Coco. And we'll get to it in the talent show, but if Nene Coco went this week during the talent show, she would have won. She would have won. She would have swept, and with this runway and that performance, she would have been in the top for this challenge. And it hurts a little bit. I'm sure it hurts even more being Nene Coco, but that's fine. Next up, my girl, Juicy Love Dion. I love this. The movement was fun. It was a creative look. This was really, really good. A really strong week for Juicy. And then finally, Sierra Mist. This was boring. This looked like you bought it at Spirit Halloween. Like, this was just a little showgirl leotard. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the box. Just boring. That's all I have to say about it. And now to the main stage for the main challenge this week. We have the talent show part 2. Mikey, I love this. It was really silly, really camp. The pulling her finger off and the blood, and then like taking her corset off and her stomach falls out and her boobs fall out, and she's this like Bride of Frankenstein freaky thing. Really, really liked this performance. It was really fun, really silly, really campy. I almost wish she went a little bit further with it. I don't know how, like, I don't know what I wanted, but I just like, when it ended, I was like, oh, I want like 10 more seconds, or just like a bigger reveal to something, or I just needed like one extra thing to push her a little bit over the line. But I thought it was really good. I really did like it. It was fun. It was unique, and it was very Mikey, you know? Next up, we had Athena Dion, and this was great. I mean, Athena is a performer at the end of the day. Like, that is what she does and like is what she's good at. Thought she looked great. Thought the song was great. Like I said, if you didn't know, she is Greek, and she reminded us multiple times this episode. But again, I like it. I like seeing her proud of where she's from. She is a very great performer, and I really did like this talent show. And you guys know I've been back and forth with Athena lately, but this was a good week for her. I did like her this week. Next up, we have Kenya Pleaser. Now, when Michelle Visage looks you dead in the eyes in the workroom and says, make sure you know your words, and then you proceed to go perform your talent show number that is a song about you. This is a song that you wrote, or like they helped you write about yourself, and you don't know the words. I mean, like, come on. And then for RuPaul to call that out during the talent show and like say something about it, like, that was crazy. It was a miss for me, which makes me sad because I genuinely really do like Kenya Pleaser. And I've said time and time again throughout this competition that like Kenya's stage presence really does sell it for her most of the time. You know, her outfits maybe aren't the best, but she could sell a paper bag on her body and it would look like it was couture because she has such personality. And I'm just like, is she floating by on personality? I think she is very talented. She's funny. She's charismatic. She's gorgeous. But I'm like, this is a song about you. And like, she had this whole spiel in the workroom that like, sometimes she just gets overwhelmed. She doesn't remember the words because she's trying to dance and do a performance and do all these things, which I understand. But like, if you're a drag queen, your job is to lip sync before anything else. Like that's what you do. You know, like that's like top of the job requirements. It's like, I would say sewing, but we know half the girls, including Kenya, don't sew anyway. So it's just like, if you're going to go on Drag Race, you can't be like, oh, sometimes I forget my words, because like that's like me going into work as a social media manager and being like, forgot how to write a caption. I don't know. I'm just not sure. Like, it's just like not an option. It's simply that. It's just not an option. This was a miss. I was really let down by this performance this week. Next up, we had Jane Don't. And just to flip it around, this was brilliant. I could not have been more thrilled by this performance. She knows her references. She knows how to make a funny little shtick out of her performance. She knew every single word, every syllable, every facial expression she had to make. This was great. Jane is such a talent. I loved this. And then we had Discord. And now I see what she was trying to do. It was very Discord. I admire her doing something a little different than the typical, like, I'm a drag queen, up on stage, death drop, and, the slay, work, yes. Like, she didn't want to make a typical drag song, none of the drag song, whatever the fucking punchline was. But it just didn't land for me. It just, like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, It was fine. And that's where I come back to, if Nini Coco went this week, I think she would have been in the top. Like, I think she would have easily, her and Jane would have been the top two. Like, I think she fucked up by switch, and she was back and forth. She almost went week 2, then she went week 1. She was volleyballing back and forth. She should have stuck with week 2, because I think Nini Coco and Jane Don't would have been in the top. Who would have won the lip sync? That I'm not sure. But she at least would have had a top placement for that. But can't change the past. And the top 2 queens of the week are Jane Don't and Athena, which I totally agree with. I think the two of them definitely had the best runways, and packaged with the talent show for this week, the two of them definitely had the best. And then their lip sync, Athena ends up winning, and I have to agree. She tore that lip sync up, as I would expect. I mean, Athena, like I said, is a performer, and it's what she does best. She killed it. She deserved this win. And I'm happy that she now has a win under her belt. Hopefully now she'll shut up a little bit and, continue just playing the game and not be so Athena. The bottom 2 of the week are Mikey and Sierra. And I'm sorry, Mikey should not be in the bottom this week. I know that it was Raid a Queen, and I know that, the queens did their alliances and their placements and they're this and they're that and the third and the yada yada, whatever. Mikey being in the bottom for this week is fucking crazy to me. When Kenya Pleaser was up on that stage with some butterflies glued to a corset and not knowing her lip sync words. I'm sorry, Kenya. I like you. I think you're a fun queen. I think you're so talented. Kenya should have been in the bottom for this. I don't think Kenya should have went home, but I think Kenya should have been in the bottom for this. The fact that Mikey was in the bottom after a really strong runway and a really fun and unique performance. Again, I understand it was a rated queen, but I think if the judges were the ones judging this week and not the queens, I don't think Mikey would have been in the bottom at all. But we see Mikey and Sierra lip sync to Toxic, and we see Sierra go home, which I do think is correct. I like Sierra a lot. I thought she was really fun, and she had a very unique sense of her drag, on the show. I loved her lips. I love the way that she expressed herself through her drag. But when you look at Mikey and her, I think Mikey has had a much stronger package, and she just performed better in the lip sync. I would have killed to see Mikey do this lip sync in her runway with the zip ties, but of course she had the talent show and you can't change back. But imagine Mikey doing a lip sync in that zip tie look. It would have been fucking sick, but she didn't need the zip ties. She still ate. She was fantastic. This was a great lip sync. Sad to see Sierra go, but somebody has to go home, and this week it was Sierra. But that is Drag Race for this week. Next week, of course, we'll be back. We got to be coming up on Snatch Game soon. That's coming up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's got to be. We're dwindling down with these girls. Yeah, it's got to be coming up soon, which I'm very excited for. I'm really liking these girls. This is a really strong season. I'm excited to see what they do for Snatch Game. I'm always tapped in for Snatch Game, but I think this group of girls are going to be really great. I'm very excited. And now moving into the Traitors. This was a crazy fucking episode from start to finish. We knew this was going to be crazy after Lisa was banished, and we saw Rob and Candiace start this inter-traitor feud and traitor on traitor crime. But this was a crazy fucking episode. The fact that Rob let Candiace take the lead and murder Colton, on one hand, thank fucking God. On the other, I can't believe that he allowed this to happen. That's supposed to be your boy. Him and Colton were, though he was a traitor and faithful, he would have died for Colton, so I thought. And yet he just lets Candiace take the lead and kill him, which he did have, his ulterior motive, and he knew that he was going to kind of flip the script and get Candiace out, which ultimately worked because he has that castle wrapped around his finger. But I was shocked that he like was so willing to let Candace take the reins and murder Colton. I did not see that coming, but like I said, thank fucking God, because I could not look at that smug look on his fucking face one more episode. Thank God he is out of the castle. Maura, I gotta give her credit. Maura was cooking at the beginning of this episode onto Candace. She was like, why did she throw Rob's name out so randomly? And like, why is she now buckling down on him? Maura was on it from the jump, and I was so impressed with her sleuthing skills. That was really great. I was very impressed there. And then the round table, I was not expecting such a quick and easy turn on Candace. Like, to me, Candace was not an obvious traitor in the castle up until last week. And the fact that they all were so willing to just turn on her just based on, I mean, it makes sense because she did throw away her vote, as she said, on Rob, but then kept doubling down on Rob, which just looks suspicious. Like it was like, it's not a throwaway vote if you are doubling down on it. You know, a throwaway vote is what Dorinda did to Maura, which Dorinda voted for Candace, housewife on housewife crime. Crazy. That was fucking nuts. But like what Dorinda did, voting for Maura as a true throwaway vote, that made sense. Candace shot herself in the foot by trying to flip the script on Rob, especially considering, though Candace had a lot of really strong alliances in the castle, Rob has these people wrapped around his finger. Like, he is truly the ringleader of this castle, and he's playing an incredible game. A dirty game, but an incredible game. And yeah, I mean, I'm very sad to see Candace go because she really did play an incredible game up until this episode. Like, it just goes to show one little slip up and you can really completely crumble in the castle. Like, all you need is one fuck up. You slip up one time, done. They're turning on you because at this point, like, we're getting close. We have 3 episodes left. Like, these faithfuls are hungry to get these traitors out. I don't know if they're going to get Rob. I really don't. Like, I think there's a little inkling of that people might start to turn on him, but like, I don't know. I feel like we might see Rob win. He really is playing an incredible game. And then the episode ends and he's trying to recruit Eric and we leave on that cliffhanger. Now, I don't remember if they said this or not, but I assume if Eric doesn't become a traitor, he gets murdered because there's no way they let a faithful run back into the castle knowing who the traitor is. Like, he definitely gets murdered. They must have said it. I might have just missed it, but seeing his reaction to Rob just further shows the way that nobody thinks Rob is a traitor. Like, even when he got the note, he was like, I know this handwriting. It's Johnny. Like, it was actually so cute how off he was. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be stupid for Eric to not become a traitor because, like, why would you leave at this point in the game, especially if, like, nobody's on to Eric? You know, Eric doesn't have a target on his back for what I can think. So I think, like, he would be able to play it very safely as a traitor for the rest of this game. And again, we only have 3 episodes left, so it's not a long game for him to do. But I could also see a world where like Rob brings him in as a traitor and then just like backfires and like turns everybody against him and murders him. So Rob can end up being the last standing traitor at the end and take the money for himself. Like, we've seen Rob do traitor on traitor crime now multiple times. So he's not above that. So I don't know. I don't know like what his tactic is trying to get Eric in. I don't know if Eric's going to take it. I really am 50-50 on what I think Eric's going to do. I don't know. This is a good season. This is a really good season of Traitors, of Drag Race. We are getting a killer, no pun intended, no murders intended. We're getting some killer TV right now, and I am thrilled to be recapping with you guys. But that is the end of our TV recap, and that means we have made it to the final segment of this week's episode. We end every single episode of Too Pop to Handle with a yes and a mess. A yes being something I am loving from the week, and a mess being something I am not loving from the week. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. So my yes this week is Kesha releasing Red Flag as a single along with a music video. Now, backtracking, Kesha walked the carpet at the Grammys very late. As you guys know, or maybe you know, maybe you don't, I was covering the show for CBS that night on TikTok. And Kesha was like the last Getty image that I saw before the show started, but I had already started posting in-show content and it felt weird to go back to doing red carpets. I don't know, something about the feed. I was like, I'm not going to go back to red carpets, but I saw Kesha there and I was like, wow, she was really late. Like, truly like the last person to walk the carpet. It's because she was filming a music video on the carpet for Red Flag, which you could go back to any episode I talk about her album, period, on this podcast. I have said since day one, when the album came out, when I did my top 10 albums of 2025, when I went to go see her in concert, I have said time and time again, Red Flag should have been a single, should have been the song of the summer. Red Flag is a killer track. Absolutely incredible. And the fact that she is now releasing it and pushing it makes me so happy. I think Period was an incredible album. I really did love it. I was a little iffy with it at first, but I think after like a week of listening to it, I was like, no, this is actually incredible. I've never, ever swayed on Red Flag. Red Flag and I have been close. We've been tight since that album came out, and seeing that song now get released as a single is just literal music to my ears. Like, I am so happy, and I hope she really pushes it and really goes for it, because this song could be huge. Like, this is giving old school Kesha. It's great. The beat, the lyrics, everything about it. It is so much fun. I am so happy to see Kesha running forward with this single. It just makes me so incredibly happy. Switching gears to my mess, something that did not make me happy at all. Peacock. Why are we editing out them booing JD Vance at the Olympics? Why are we erasing history? If you did not see, when you go to watch the replay of the opening ceremony, everybody was booing JD Vance on screen. Rightfully so. He's a fucking loser. But when you watch it on Peacock, they edited it out. They don't show any of the booing. You don't hear it, nothing. They edited it completely out. And I just think that is loser behavior. That is like you are sucking the dick of Donald Trump and swallowing. Like, you are a traitor. Like, it's just so crazy that like we're watching so many of these giant networks fully just fold to this administration and like suck their dick as if like they owe them anything. And like it's scary because like they are pulling people off the air. Like, Colbert is literally on his last season right now. And like we saw Kimmel get shut down. Like, you know, it is scary that like they do unfortunately somehow have this power to pull people off the air and to like defund these networks. So like they do kind of have to like suck their dick to just like continue to air things. But like, we're now literally erasing what is happening. And this is not as serious as a lot of the things happening in this world. Like, taking out all of the slavery exhibits from all of the museums is fucking crazy. And of course, that is a much bigger deal than this. But like this week, the thing that I'm pissed off about our administration, because that could be a whole different segment of just something they did this week that pissed me off. Why are we editing out JD Vance getting booed? I would love to hear it. I would love to listen to JD Vance getting booed on repeat for the rest of my life, because I'm booing him right back. I'm sitting there, boo. Give me a tomato. Give me, you know, I'll throw anything at him. Fuck that man. And yeah, I just don't love that. You know, it's crazy to watch silencing happening in front of our eyes. But we'll never be silent here at Too Pop to Handle, because I can't shut the fuck up. And with that, we have made it to the end of the episode. There's something wrong with me. There really is. Anyway, if you guys liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, please go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating. It is seriously the best way to help support the show, and it is completely free. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a comment, hit the like button. You know the drill. Everything but unsubscribe and dislike. If you would like more moments of the week that were too pop to handle in between podcast episodes, you can head over to our Substack, toopoptohandle.substack.com. I will have it linked down below, and I send out a weekly newsletter every single weekend with extra moments of the week that were too pop to handle. I've been having a lot of fun on Substack lately. Like, it's kind of my favorite platform at the moment. I've put out 4 things this week. Like, I have just been on a writing bug. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know what else I'm going to write, but like, I have just had this creative writing flow that I cannot kick, and I'm not mad about it. It is so much fun. I've been writing so much on Substack. So go subscribe. There's so much content to consume. You get all of my archival content as well. I have so much fun on Substack, and I would love if you came and joined the party over there. And if all of that is not enough, if you need more Andrew Nucatola in your life, I get it. I can't resist me either. You can follow me on all of my, I'm so fucking insufferable. You can follow me on all of my social media platforms at Andrew Nucatola or at Too Pop to Handle. But honestly, after that comment, I wouldn't follow me either. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.